welcome to the Crafty Maven Getaway podcast. I'm your host, Hannah, and thank you for joining me today. Today is episode 15. Today is going to be like a mini intro episode because we are starting a new series, and the new series is about your creative identity. Because you're an artist. I don't know if anyone's told you, but you are an amazing artist. And it is so important, I think, so this is my personal opinion, it's super important for us to know who we are as a creative person. This really can help guide us in making decisions for how we create and how this journey looks as we're creating. And it is going to change throughout. But through this series, we're going to be talking to a whole bunch of different people and kind of get their story and who they are. And hopefully within that, we can pull out some nuggets and really talk about some topics on a your creative identity so that you, if you don't know, can help figure it out and maybe pinpoint some things that you can do so that you don't get burnout. I know Megan and I talked a lot about that, and we just barely talked about burnout, and I think we're probably going to hit that again or hit some topics within this series. But I really just want to talk about your creative identity and really flourishing in that. One of the things that I absolutely love is that I can help encourage other creative scrapbookers, and I just really want to inspire. One of the main goals that I have for the Crafty Maven is to really help spark and inspire people so that they can go and use that as a catalyst for their own channels, for their own everything, right? So, and I think to kind of do this, we need to go back a little bit. And that's why I wanted to do this episode, because I kind of want to set the stage a little bit. And this is going to be difficult for me because I am a talk on the fly type of girl. And I feel like this is more of an episode that we need to kind of sit down and kind of get some ground things set so that when we start talking to other people, we can pull out those nuggets. Because if you don't have a guide for those dots that are there in your life, in your work, right? I think it's harder to see. And I really want to make it apparent to you what the things that you're creating, where you can go with them, right? And we all are on a different path in this journey. And we all are on a different journey in our creative, how this looks, right? In our creative journey. And so, but no matter if you're a new scrapbooker or you've been scrapbooking forever, I feel like I'm in the middle, but I still feel like a baby scrapbooker in a lot of ways because I'm constantly learning, but I'm constantly learning new things about myself. And sometimes I don't give myself enough credit as an artist and a creative person. And I think that's the first place to start is know your worth. Like, we need to know our worth, right? And I say that because many of us who are quote unquote professional scrapbookers, you have to sell yourself, right? And when you have a YouTube channel, when you have your Instagram, when you're trying to get on teams, you have to sell why your pages are so much more creative, so much more cooler, whatever, all these elements. And you have to sell it. But if you don't know who you are, how do you do that? And maybe this doesn't apply to everyone, or you don't feel like it applies to you, but I hope that you realize that it does, because it doesn't matter whether you're a professional, whether you're just doing this for fun. Knowing who you are really helps so that when you're creating, one, it helps just, for me, it helps me with that plan of what kind of layouts do I want to do? What kind of direction do I want to go with my scrapbooking? And do I want it to be art focused, like the media focused, or do I want it to be story focused? Do I want it to be memory, like photo memory focused? which I know kind of correlates with the story. But so there's all these different focuses that we can have, but where we are in our scrapbooking journey really helps us determine that. And your identity, just like in your everyday life, right? Not your crafty life. um, it's going to change a little bit, but there's going to be core elements, right, to who you are. So, and it's not just maybe, it's not just talking about style. Like, that's part of it, right? So I want to break this down because I don't want it to be, it's not just about style, because your style's probably going to change as you grow. And that's a part of it, right? It definitely is a part of it. But I know, like, how I do things in my craft room and at my desk is actually different maybe than how I do things like throughout my life, but it can help me gain insight for how I can make decisions. So bringing it back to the scrap table, right? We are going to talk and explore how to stay true to the style that your style. How do we stay true to our style but grow? How do we use our style to anchor us, especially when we feel overwhelmed with all the options, the trends, the milestones? Like, sometimes there's a lot of that. And how do we use our style, and how can that help us make decisions within what we're buying, what techniques we're doing, and how we lay out our process at our table, right? So all of these things are part of our identity, but there's going to be core things. So there's going to be core things that I know who I am. And these are things that we can remind ourselves of when we do feel overwhelmed, when we're not sure where to go with different processes, or we're not sure what to do for what do we want to share. Whether or not you are that professional or you're just sharing online because you want other people to see what you're making, knowing who you are helps you, like, oh yeah, I'm going to share this because I think this is going to inspire somebody else, or I made this and I'm super proud of myself. And these are things, and we all should want that, right? We all should do that, like, be proud of ourselves for the things that we've created, the moments that we've had, not to be my kids always like to say, oh, you're rubbing it in my face. We're not rubbing it in each other's faces, as my kids would say. We are sharing to inspire other people, because something that someone did might help connect the dots for something that we want to do. So one of the first things that I kind of want to talk about, and I know that we will go through some of these elements as we go through our series, is style. So style is part of your identity, but not in maybe the way that you think it is, right? So it's not, I'm trying to think about how to use that concept of who we are and how that translates as a style, right? So I can be a chaotic person. I love to talk. I love a lot of things, but it doesn't translate in maybe me using really busy papers necessarily, but it means that being able to allow myself to have the freedom to just put whatever I want on for mixed media, right? I also really don't like rules. We need rules. They're helpful. It's not that I don't like rules as a general concept, but I want to think out of the side of the box. I don't want to be confined to, I have to do this, I have to do that, which can be really difficult. So taking that in my scrap room helps me to work through that so that when I have to go to work every day, get up at a consistent time every day, get work done, do the boring mundane things that none of us want to do. I've already got that out of my system. I already put a whole bunch of media on a page. I didn't follow the rules. Right? So those are things that I can counteract and have this balance, right? But I also, so with that said, I also know that if I have too much clutter, too much chaos, it makes it so that I can't create. So things that I do, like make sure after each of the projects that I do, layouts, I'm cleaning up. It might not be perfect, but I organize my desk. I collect my papers. I put leftover pieces together and I clear off my space and I leave my desk open so that it's inviting and ready for me to create something. And I don't have to remove all the clutter that takes so much time. Right? So those are things that I do because of who I am. So some of this is going to be you figuring out who am I just as a person and how can I use that in my scrap room, right? Because I think sometimes we don't. Sometimes we see how other people do it and we're like, oh, well, they do it and it works for them. Like, so I know in the business, I don't want to say business world, but kind of in this business world, there's this concept of in order to be productive, you have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and you have to have this routine that is going to help propel your day, right? And if you do this, it's going to help you be super successful. Well, here's the thing. What works for one person doesn't always work for another person. But listening to a whole bunch of different people and seeing what works for her, what works for them, what works for him. It really helps us pull out pieces of, hey, they did it that way. I wonder if I did this other thing. It might not even be the thing that they suggested, right? So, because I know not everybody who's successful wakes up at 5 o'clock in the morning. That's like, if you try to fit into the mold, you're not going to. You have to create the mold from yourself. So from that self, you have to know who you are, right? And it's a journey, right? And there's parts of our life where we learn different things about ourselves, and that is the great part of the journey in this process, right? But I really want us to work through that so that we can create pages and feel successful, productive, inspired to create more, right? To fill our cup instead of take from our cup. And so there are tons of different styles. There's simple and clean, there's graphic, there's busy, messy, like I say busy, messy. Some people like to have an idea and have it all planned out. So there's Project Life, which is all these little boxes of things. Some people love layers, like me, and texture. But some people want it clean and flat, and they want to get as many layouts in their album as possible. And if you want to get as many layouts in your album as possible because it makes you feel happy, that's awesome, right? It's like, I know I have a closet full, I'm pointing at it right now, of layouts that need to go in protectors because I care more about creating than putting them in the album. Maybe I should think about getting them in the album. I don't even want to know how many albums I have worth of work. But it's like, but then the thing is like, if I've made it and they're not out for people to see, right? So there has to be this balance. And this is where kind of taking your reason why and learning who you are and these things that matter help you make better choices for your time so that you are filling your cup, right? Some of us want to have a story driven layout. Some of us really just want to play, and it's more about the art part of it. And none of these are wrong, right? None of them are wrong. And you might have seasons in your life where you do different things because what you need is different based off of who you are. Because we're complex people. We're not, like I said, we don't want to fit the mold, like have a mold and fit into it. We want to be the mold to fit, right? That other thing, the pieces of our life is what's filling the mold, if that makes sense. So we're gonna be going over and over and over your reason why. If you don't know your reason why, I really want you to think about it. I really explore your reason why. Why do you like to scrapbook? Why do you like to play with paper? And there's no wrong answers, and you can have multiple different reasons why. Maybe list them. So part of the series is going to be that retrospect. I really want you to take time and reflect and think through the decisions that you're making. It's like when we take the time to do this work ahead of time, then when we get to our desk, we're going to feel more productive also. It's like, I don't have a plan every single time I go to my desk. I might say, today I'm going to scrapbook and I want to try to get 2 layouts done. I might not know exactly. Sometimes I do. A lot of times I do. A lot of times if I'm thinking things through the week, but maybe I don't have time during the week to think about it. And that, right? I work, I homeschool my kids. I have, dogs and a cat, and I have yard work. It's springtime going to be summer soon. So there's a lot of different things, it's towards the end of the year. So now the kids are doing all these different things with their friends, and it's going to be in summer. And I feel like, it's like for us, summer isn't necessarily as slow down as sometimes during the year, right? The beginning of the year or whatever, the winter time. And so it's like, there's all these things. Sometimes I don't have a chance to sit down or to think things through. Sometimes sometimes I take my scrapbooking time to go, let me make a plan. And it'll just be a basic one. But maybe you're somebody who needs to really sit down and take the time to go, oh, I want to, I have this, and this thought, and just write it down. So thinking about why and who you are as a person, that can help with that moving forward process, right? And some of the reasons why to scrapbook are to preserve memories, right? To process your emotions, to play with pretty paper and colors and texture and use your hands, right? Some of it is to leave a legacy or history behind. And just knowing that helps you when you're buying. It helps you when you're looking through challenges that other people are doing. Like, all these things can help you be more productive. And not productive in, I'm getting a ton of layouts done. It's productive in, you feel accomplished in the work that you did. There are some days that I don't get any scrapbooking done, but I've worked on this crafty thing, or I did this, or I planned this, or I bought this for this other thing, or I did this class, so I'm learning this thing. And those things all tie into being productive. So I also want us to reshape some of how we think it has to be. This will also help with burnout, right? And also thinking about our style it shows up in how we place our photos, the colors that we use, um, how we choose to journal, because that can look different. And even like the size or the type of scrapbooking. So like whether it's like an art journal page or it's using a mini album, all these different things. And style, I want you to think about it this way. Style isn't about what's in or what's cool, what's trendy. It's about doing what you love, right? That's your style. What do you love? Now, if what you love is to follow the trends, do something really cool, use new stuff, then that's part of your style, and that's okay, right? But if it's using your old stuff, that's also okay, right? So we're gonna have lots of different prompts when we are doing the episodes so that you can go through and you can really be intentional and think through your process. We're gonna talk about and kind of so that you can recognize your style and just kind of like hone it in. And then we're going to talk about how you can help yourself get unstuck in different scenarios within the process of scrapbooky things. How to grow. I know I mentioned this, how to grow, but stay open to growing and trying new things without losing the core of who you are, right? And how to just balance all of this inspiration with authenticity, right? We want to be authentic because it's going to show up, and it's probably going to show up in, I didn't like how that layout turned out. It's like I've done quite a few layouts where I'm like, I just didn't like it. Other people might like it and it might inspire other people, but I didn't like it because it wasn't true to who I was. And that's okay. Like, it's okay to have those layouts. We're all going to have those layouts, right? Where maybe we're not being truly authentic. We tried something, it didn't work. But how do you do that? How do you have the balance of it? Right? How do you notice the patterns in how you do your layouts? So your choices, the structures, all that kind of things. What are techniques and trends that that fit your style and fit who you are? We're going to talk all about these different kinds of things because we really want to grow. We don't want to stay where we are, but we want to get the most out of it. And in growing, we're not going to get stuck in a rut, but we're also going to stay. Like, growing will help us build that toolbox, but knowing who you are will help you know how to use those tools and what tools you need to put in your toolbox, if that makes sense. So growing helps you build that toolbox, but knowing who you are and your as a creative person. So I am super excited. I'm going to finish this up so it's not super long, but I am super excited because we're going to be talking all about these different kinds of things, kind of probably in a roundabout way because that's how I am. And so I'm super excited because we have a lot of different guests that I've been talking to, people who I've been chit-chatting with, and it's been super fun going through and talking about creative stuff because that inspires me, so that I can inspire you. And that is my goal. So within this series, I want you to think about some questions that maybe you guys have that you want us to tackle while we're talking about identity. Like, and I know this is getting complicated. It's complicated because it's simple and complicated all at the same time. So if there's elements within figuring out what your creative identity and style is, figuring like that balance, like what are the struggles that you have with staying true to yourself. So I want you guys to comment things that you want us to kind of talk about throughout the series. I have some ideas, and I have some people that I've been talking to, and I really like some of the things that we are having a conversation about, and I want to extend that into Scrappy Chats for you guys because I think it correlates with knowing who you are and really being able to stay true to that while growing. So, and like I said, it's so nuanced that even just doing this episode, I feel like it's still all over the place. So I hope that you guys got something out of this. I hope you guys are excited because I'm really excited. And I just love that we get to talk every week. Well, my goal is every week about something and to really think through, because I found, so one of the things that I have a lot of memories about, or one of my favorite memories, is doing housework while listening to the paper clipping roundtable and taking that time to like really think through and ruminate about the topics that they talked about. And obviously they're not here anymore to do that, to inspire us. And I know Tracy and Tiffany. here I am. I know Tracy and Tiffany are still doing their thing, and they inspire a ton of ladies and scrapbookers. But I want something that doesn't cost money, because I don't think that we should. It's all about money, right? It's not all about what am I getting out of it. I know it costs money. I know it takes time to do these things, but I want to offer them for free because I think that these are conversations that we need to have. And they're so helpful for inspiring ourselves and inspiring others. So I want to have this as something that we just do. I love Scrappy Chats. I love the idea that we can sit down and talk and listen to besties talk about scrappy stuff. It's super inspiring and it gets my mind going, and I hope that it gets your mind going so that it unlocks this creativity so that when you get to your table, you, like, once again, you feel productive. Maybe not because you got a whole bunch of layouts done, but because you had a plan, or once again, it goes back to your reason why. Like, that's connected to being productive because you're accomplishing things that fill the needs for what scrapbooking fills. So we're talking all about this. We're getting all to the nitty gritty. We are also just having fun so that we can take time to think about it, because it's so much more than just paper and stickers and pretty things. These are memories that we are taking and leaving for our family, whether or not they look at them all the time. But these are memories that they have, and we get to take the time to sit and really reflect in it. And so I want you, when you get to your desk, you're really reflecting on those moments too. You're playing with paper and you're helping the stress. You're melting the stress away with that paint. As you paint, this you're painting over the stress, right? So it's like, I want these things to help fix and fill those your cups so that when you go, you can make new memories. You can spend more time with your family and get meaning out of your life, because our lives are meaningful and you are amazing and you are perfect. But we also need to grow and we need to learn this stuff, right? It doesn't just come intuitively. I mean, yes, nature has a way of helping us figure these things out, but sometimes we just need a guide, and talking about it really helps us sharpen our own tools. So that's what we're here for. That's what this series is here for. And I can't wait till I can hear you guys talk about and really figure out and be comfortable in who you are, because you don't have to stay the same, right? We get to grow and we get to fill our toolboxes in a way that's going to help us fix the things in our life. And going to that scrapbooking table is one of the ways that we can do it. So I love you guys. Thank you guys for joining me on this journey. I can't wait to talk to you next week. And we will be resuming the Saturday episodes. So I'm super excited, and I hope you guys are excited too. I can't wait to hear some of the things that you hope to get out of the series. Bye.